And now to my second task, and that is to introduce our borough president. And it is truly an honor and a privilege to stand before you today to introduce my partner in Borough Hall. And for that, I am thankful. Before I bring the borough president up, I just want to briefly share with you a few of his outstanding characteristics that I've observed working with him more closely over the past 10 months. Ooh, 10 years, whoa, 10 months. I believe you'll agree with me that he's, one, dynamic and exceptionally inspiring, a gem to work with. Two, an innovative and energetic, the type of leader and borough president the Bronx needs, especially during these very difficult times. Three, he's consistent and punctual. When he commits to something, he strives to live up to his commitment. Four, he's a man who is greatly respected and admired because he respects others. Finally, he's establishing his legacy, and one we will all be very proud of. The Bronx won't be the same as he found it. It'll be much better. Now, here to present his first State of the Borough, I give you our very own Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz, Jr.
Thank you. Let's give it up for my partner at Borough Hall, the Deputy Borough President Aurelia Green. I just want to thank her for that wonderful introduction, and I want to thank her for her sagacity, her calmness, and we all know, everyone who knows Aurelia Green understands how poised she is and how thoughtful she is. Aurelia, thank you for your service to the Bronx. We appreciate you. I want to thank each and every single one of you for coming out today. It's a week late, but there were some elements beyond our control last Friday. And nonetheless, though, better a week later than never, right? Because there are wonderful things happening in the borough. I want to thank the principals in this beautiful campus at Evander Childs High School for hosting us. Let's give them all a strong round of applause. I want to thank all of my colleagues in government for coming here today, my borough presidential colleagues for coming here today, as well as the city comptroller, my family members, my sister, Sergeant Diaz, for being with me here today. And the missus couldn't be here today, nor the kids. They're in school, and I know that Reverend Diaz, my father, was mentioned. But we would not be here today if this young lady did not give me life. Ladies and gentlemen, my mother, Hilda. Mommy. Jonas Bronx, our founder, first landed in the Bronx in 1639, bringing with him a small group of settlers to work on his farm located at what is today 132nd Street and Lincoln Avenue. The Bronx would go on to play a major role in the founding of our nation. Many Bronxites gave their lives fighting the American Revolution, and Gouverneur Morris, a Bronx native, is credited with writing the preamble to our Constitution, perhaps the most important document in the history of democratic government. In the mid-1800s, the Bronx saw its first great wave of immigrants when severe famine in Ireland and political unrest in Germany sent waves of Europeans to our shores, a wave that would be repeated many times by groups from many different countries during the decades to come. The tenement dwellers of Manhattan and elsewhere saw the promise of the Bronx and the suburban dream it represented and rushed to it. For too many, however, the history of the Bronx is that of the 1970s. Those years saw a great slide in our borough. Arson was the norm, and the crime rate here was astronomical compared to the rest of the city, if not the nation. During the next 2 decades, the Bronx saw millions of dollars in new investment through direct government intervention and private partnerships, transforming once vacant lots into new opportunities. The last decade saw major corporate development in the Bronx, proving to all that the Bronx is a place where people want to do business, where consumers want to spend their money, and where folks want to raise a family. Our borough has come a long way, but we still have further to go. We know that the Bronx has seen tremendous improvement over the past 3 decades, but there's always room for more. Statistics compiled by the United States Census Bureau show us that the poverty rate here is 28.3%, more than double the state and the federal average. And our current unemployment rate is 13.9%, well above the national average and by far the highest in the state of New York. Only 21.6% of Bronxites own their own homes, compared to more than 55% of state residents and 2/3 of all Americans. During my inauguration in May, I spoke of the concept of one Bronx, un solo Bronx, where we all come together regardless of our differences to work for the greater good of the entire borough. One Bronx, un solo Bronx, where the good things in one community are good for us all, and the bad things in another community are equally bad for everyone. One Bronx is about standing side by side as one borough to solve our problems and celebrate our successes together. The spirit of One Bronx was on display just a few weeks ago, following the devastating earthquake in Haiti. People from every corner of our borough, regardless of their race, age, or ethnicity, they came together to donate what they could. They donated food, you donated food and money and clothing to help those in need despite some of your own hardships. The outpouring of generosity from Bronxites in response to the crises in Haiti made me proud to be your borough president. One Bronx means we will take the lead on leadership in energy and environmental design, and work as a whole to build and grow the green economy, while making sure Bronxites are prepared to take these jobs. One Bronx means that when one of our mothers or our daughters or sisters is taken from us through an act of senseless violence, we all feel it together. One Bronx means that when developers want to do business in our borough, they must do right by the entire Bronx and not just for themselves. Our poverty rates combined with our unemployment rates and these other statistics, they show us just how far we have to go. My administration will bring the Bronx to the forefront of environmentally friendly development, and we will take advantage of the benefits these jobs will create. See, my push to build a greener economy is about more than just words. In the New York State Assembly, I authored a law that gives developers a tax break when they construct a green roof as part of their project. And my office also has a sustainable development policy, and I will not provide any funds unless a project meets the highest possible levels of environmental certification. In the last year, my office funded a number of projects with major green components, such as the new library at Woodlawn, the award-winning Villa Verde mixed-use housing development in Oak Point, and Common Grounds Brook Avenue residence, which creates permanent housing for chronically homeless individuals. We are putting our money where our mouth is, quite literally right at Borough Hall. Just a few weeks ago, we celebrated the announcement of a federal grant for the Consortium for Workers' Education that will be used to train more than 400 Bronx residents for work in the growing field of energy efficiency. We are also working in conjunction with Senator Gillibrand and Fordham University to bring a cogeneration plant to the college's Rose Hill campus. This project will lessen the burden on our electric grid and create dozens of new jobs. And along with the promotion of other clean energy technologies, this project will be a significant step towards the development of our alternative power grid, leading to low energy costs right here in the Bronx. I, along with Congressman Steve Israel from Long Island, have co-founded the New York State Intergovernmental Energy Partnership, which is working to identify stimulus funds for green initiatives. And through the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, this year, my office placed in each of our borough's business improvement districts big bellies. Now, some of you are looking at it. He's talking about me, big bellies. Have you seen a big belly yet? It's really amazing. When this garbage receptacle gets too full, a solar power press will activate and compact the trash inside. Because of this, the big belly is able to hold 10 times the amount of garbage of a normal trash can. This means fewer pickups, which also means fewer trucks on the streets. And these trash bins, which could represent the future of waste management in the United States, are manufactured here on Tiffany Street by my good friend Franklin Cruz and his company, Direct Environmental. You should know by now that I'm serious about building the green economy. And these are just a few of the steps that we have already taken. My office will continue to work to expand green manufacturing opportunities in our industrial zones. We will encourage existing businesses to retrofit and work to find incentives for them to do so. We will and we can create a blueprint, or should I say the green print, to expand this emerging industry and lead the nation. There are many great opportunities for development here in the Bronx, and we will take advantage of them in the years to come. For instance, our waterfront is virtually untouched, and with smart planning, we can create new opportunities for housing, for economic development, and for recreation along our shores. I will push to expand the empowerment zone in our borough so that more small businesses can benefit from the loans and other opportunities available through this program. We need to make sure that more home ownership opportunities are afforded to Bronxites in all neighborhoods. I'm always happy when affordable housing is developed in the Bronx, but we must do more to ensure that new developments are built that offer Bronxites a chance to buy their own homes. We know that home ownership leads to community stability, and my office will do all that it can to persuade developers to create more of these opportunities. We all know, and I know that you believe like I do, that a stable neighborhood is a better neighborhood, and more stability means a better Bronx. Developers, however, they do not bear the entire burden on this issue. I have been personally reaching out to our banking community to urge them to free up capital so that developers can make these projects a reality. We cannot make the dream of owning your own home come true without the proper funding. And I will continue to push banks to make financing available to develop home ownership opportunities in our borough. Last year, my office's economic development arm, the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, we hosted the Bronx's first ever economic summit. Many of you were there. At that event, business, community, and not-for-profit leaders from every corner of our borough came together as one Bronx to discuss the problems that face our borough. Together we discussed the different ways we can tackle on our issues, create new jobs, and develop plans that will make our economy grow. In the coming weeks, my office will begin to put forward a comprehensive economic plan, largely based on the ideas that were developed during this summit. Our plan will call for the expansion of the film industry, the creation of retail retention zones, and yes, the development of a real hotel right here in the Bronx. That's an idea that's been around for a long time. But think about it. We have the Bronx Zoo, great restaurants, the Yankees, all here in the Bronx. And yet, for too long, a real hotel has been absent in our borough. Our business community and not-for-profit groups, which are in dire need of a first-class conference space, they can see this hotel become the centerpiece of a new revival. A new hotel will create hundreds of good-paying jobs, offering health benefits, pension plans, and a chance for its workers to have a better life. Now, this is the kind of development we want to see here in the Bronx. An opportunity that not only offers a much-needed community benefit, but also creates meaningful jobs that offer Bronxites a career path out of poverty and into the middle class. I don't know about you, and I know most of you share this opinion, but I'm tired of when visitors come to the Bronx, but they spend their evenings in Westchester or New Jersey. Taking with them the money they could have spent in our restaurants and shops. Peter Ward, president of the New York Hotel Trades Council, and my administration will work together to seek developers that will make this concept a reality. Together, we will bring this much needed and long overdue project to our borough. We have a great deal to offer here in the Bronx, and hotel operators would be crazy to ignore us. Now, none of this will come easy, and I cannot do it alone. With that in mind, I would like to introduce everyone to Marlene Cintrón, the new president of the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation. Marlene will be my point person in our efforts to build and grow the Bronx economy. Marlene is an attorney whose years of service at companies like Merrill Lynch and Citibank, in state and federal government, and in the not-for-profit sector make her the perfect individual to lead the BOEDC into the new decade. Those of you who don't know Marlene, you'll find out just soon enough how great she is, because those of us who know her know that she's a great and fantastic individual. Marlene, felicidades, good luck, welcome on board. We have a lot of work to do. I urge everyone to reach out to Marlene in the coming weeks and months to discuss your ideas with her and her staff so that we can begin the hard work ahead of us. Felicidades again, Marlene. Let's give her a strong round of applause. Though it is important, economic development will not be our only focus at Borough Hall. Last year, my office was able to identify dozens of worthy organizations, and we allocated more than $21 million in funding to them. These funds will help to ensure that our schools stay strong, our parks remain beautiful, our senior citizen centers remain vital, and our cultural institutions continue to provide the amazing programs that they are known for. Things are tough right now. We know that. The hit our economy has taken during the past 2 years has caused numerous budget cutbacks and job losses, not only here in the Bronx, but across the entire nation. In times like these, our struggling not-for-profit organizations, they feel the pinch, the budget pinch, more than ever. I will fight, along with our borough's council delegation, some of them who are here today, to make sure that the Bronx gets its fair share of city dollars, regardless of the enormous budget cuts to our senior services, our schools, and our parks that have been proposed by Mayor Bloomberg. Additionally, we must make sure that all Bronxites, especially those that are new to this country, do not feel left out of the great conversation on the future of our borough. Now look around this room, everyone. Look at this. We all know, and I know that you know, how diverse this borough is. We must continue to embrace that diversity. Statistics indicate that 31% of the 1.4 million people who call the Bronx home are foreign-born. Last month, I announced the formation of a new African Advisory Council. This council will serve a dual purpose. It will inform me and my office on the unique issues of this growing population, while also directing them to services and available benefits. We all know that our nation is a nation of immigrants, and they only want what our own forebears wanted for themselves, a chance at a better life. My hope is that this council will serve as a model for other growing populations and will help to weave our growing immigrant communities into the tapestry of our city. To do that, we must make sure that we are counted. My office will push to ensure that all Bronxites, particularly our immigrants, are counted in the upcoming United States Census. The census results play a major role in deciding how much funding is made available to programs in our borough. Now, I cannot stress this enough. If we do not count, we will miss out. It's just 10 questions, and it only takes you 10 minutes. So please fill out those census applications and send them in. We will protect our senior citizens from budget cuts. And foster new initiatives to help them grow. This year, my office provided funding to 114 senior citizen centers and programs in every corner of our borough. And we are doing even more for our elderly population. Just a few weeks ago, I, along with the Commissioner for the Department of the Aging, met with dozens of directors of Bronx Senior Citizen Centers to discuss new programs, new funding opportunities, and to shape a vision for their collective future. My office is also preparing our first ever Senior Resource Guide, a great tool that will offer information about senior citizen centers, Social Security, veteran benefits, home care, and many other topics that are important to our aging neighbors. On housing, my office has been working with my colleague from Manhattan, Borough President Scott Stringer, to let tenants know their rights and protect them from the scam artists that would seek to exploit the housing crisis for their own gain. We have also created the first ever Public Housing Advisory Council, which meets once a month to work on solutions to a number of different issues facing our public housing developments. And my Constituent Services Office helps dozens of Bronxites with their housing issues every day, making sure that Bronx families have a warm and safe place to sleep every night. And just as our children cannot live in an unsafe environment, we all know that they cannot learn in an unsafe environment. My office has been leading the charge to make sure that our older school buildings are free of toxic chemicals and we have demanded that the Department of Education enact proper testing for PCBs in our classrooms. We have pumped millions of dollars into our Bronx schools to ensure that our children have the best learning experience possible, be it new computer equipment at PS 11 in Highbridge, the renovation of the library at Grace Dodge Memorial High School, or the new planetarium at PS 24 in Riverdale. And we are fighting to guarantee that when schools are closed in the Bronx, parents are given adequate notice and a real explanation as to why. The Department of Education and Chancellor Klein must know, they must know, that we will not be ignored. When it comes to the success of our schools here in the Bronx, we will be heard. While the city will point to ever-rising test scores on our state tests as evidence that the system is working, the results of the National Assessment of Education Progress indicate that achievements in our schools are stagnant at best. The SAT scores in many of our high schools are still far too low. When the day ends, students do not have quality after-school programs to attend. Art and music classes are no longer a mainstay in their daily curriculum. I know this because every month I meet with a group of principals from our borough's public schools, and they have told me just how tough their jobs are and how much more they need to make their schools a success. The reality is that the majority of the students at our borough's two premier public high schools, the Bronx High School of Science and the High School of American Studies at Lehman College, do not come from the Bronx. And I don't know if we need to clap for that. The fact is that of the more than 13,500 eighth graders in the Bronx public schools last year, only 334 were accepted to the city's specialized high schools. Ladies and gentlemen, this number is far too low, and we must work to change that. To ensure that our own students are prepared to take advantage of the wonderful opportunities made available to them. Now, there's no secret that I'm a strong supporter of charter schools. It's a tough topic, but I will push to raise the cap on the number of charters allowed in the state of New York. So that more children take advantage of these innovative education opportunities. However, the criticism has been that when a charter school takes up residence in a public school building, it does not participate in the life of that building, nor does it become part of the community at large. The equipment is newer, the walls are freshly painted. The charter school becomes an oasis within the school building. And yet the parents, the students, administrators in that public school building, they feel left out. We need to bridge this divide. That is why today I'm challenging charter schools to use some of the funding that they receive through philanthropy to make everyone's world a better place. When a charter school comes to a public school building, it should use the funding that they receive to upgrade the physical plant of the entire building, not just its own little section. Charter schools are an important resource, but they must do more to be vital to the entire community. Our One Bronx will be a healthy Bronx. To impact the health of our borough, Bronxites must be healthy themselves. A recent study ranked in the Bronx as the least healthy county in the entire state. Some of you read that in the papers a couple of weeks ago. I don't know about you, but this is unacceptable to me. And my office will change this dubious distinction. To that end, my office will host a borough-wide food summit in May. We will work to bring healthier food options into our neighborhoods through the expansion of supermarkets and farmers markets in underserved communities, and the addition of healthy food choices in our public schools. We recently saw the passage of legislation allowing individuals to use their EBT cards to purchase fresh fruits and vegetables at city farmer markets. If we can accomplish this, then I believe that we can do even more. My office has partnered with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, and through a $1 million grant, we launched Start Strong Bronx, which is an effort that will rally teens, parents, caregivers, educators, and community leaders to build an environment that supports healthy relationships among teens and ensures that violence and abuse are never tolerated. I also recorded a public service announcement as part of the Bronx Knows campaign, urging individuals to make sure they know their status and get tested for HIV. See, the Bronx makes up just 16% of the city's population, and yet 21% of all city residents living with HIV make their homes right here. We also know that the new diagnoses of HIV and AIDS are extremely high in the Latino and African American communities, making it even more urgent that Bronxites know their status. Now, this campaign has been effective, and during the past 2 years that it's been active, more than 160,000 Bronxites have been tested for HIV and now know their status. My PSA, which is being broadcast in both English and in Spanish in all city hospitals, is part of a greater effort to get all Bronx tested, regardless of their age, gender, or sexual orientation. For our own good and for the good of our families, we must know our status. In the last year, we have seen a great deal of heartache in the Bronx at the hands of illegal guns. In September, Aisha Santiago from Monhaven was killed by a stray bullet right in front of her child. In October, Sadie Mitchell, a 92-year-old grandmother and a pillar of her community, this community, just a few blocks away, was hit by a stray bullet when it went through the window of her own home. She was killed while she was walking to her kitchen. And in November, 16-year-old Vada Vasquez was hit by a stray bullet when she got caught in the crossfire of a shootout. Now, Vada survived, and for that we are grateful. These examples do not include the dozens of victims that have lost their lives to random gun violence over the years. Victims who Bronxites cannot and we will not forget. We can no longer tolerate the terrible wave of gun violence that has descended on our borough. See, I have been to too many funerals. I have seen too many mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters, husbands and wives, families torn apart by acts of senseless violence. It is time to stand up and say enough is enough. Now, Mayor Bloomberg and I, we don't agree on everything. But if there's one issue that we stand side by side in agreement, is that we need stronger gun control laws right now. That is why Congress needs to enact a national gun control law so that we can begin to turn the tide against these random acts of violence. I don't know about you, but I believe that at some point all illegal guns were legal. So the protests of those who say that we are punishing law-abiding citizens with our efforts, those voices must be ignored. We cannot allow outside interests to drive the debate. while our mothers, grandmothers, and daughters are gunned down right before our own eyes. Changing the law is just one step. We have to do more. We have to teach our children that violence is not the answer to their problems. We must teach our children that there are better, more productive ways to resolve their conflicts than by picking up a gun. That's why in November, my office hosted a Day of Outrage with the purpose of showing the world that the Bronx has had enough of gun violence. This is personal to me. So I grew up on St. Lawrence, right around Watson Avenue during the 1980s and early 90s. If you know Watson, if you know that era, and you know that you can accurately compare my neighborhood to the OK Corral. Far too often, many of my peers turned to a gun because they foolishly believed that violence was the only way to settle a dispute. I saw some of my own friends killed while others spent the rest of their lives in prison. It saddened and angered me then, and my anger has only grown over the years. I have seen the devastation gun violence causes, and as a father of 2 young men, I will not allow our youth to head down this destructive path, and we must push back. I'm proud that in January we co-hosted a gun buyback program with D.A. Johnson. Thank you, D.A. Johnson. And the New York Police Department. Thank you all for coming out. Let's give them a stronger round of applause. We held this gun buyback program at 4 churches across the Bronx. And we were able to take nearly 1,200 guns off of our streets. 1,200 guns off the streets. 1,186 to be specific. Now, using this program as a model, my office will look to take an additional 1,500 illegal firearms out of circulation in the next coming year. And my office will continue to identify different initiatives and funding streams to combat gun violence in our streets. You see, One Bronx is real, and we have already seen its benefits. We saw it when each of our neighborhoods came together to help the earthquake victims in Haiti. We saw it when 2 of our own residents who are here today, Douglas Murphy and Horia Cretan, could you guys, gentlemen, please stand up? Horia Cretan. When they risked their own health and well-being to save the lives of their fellow Bronxites. Douglas Murphy jumped inside of the train track to save a young lady at Hunts Point. Horia Cretan, you saw he ran up the fire escape and saved a 9-year-old boy from a blazing fire. And they did so with people they never met before. And we see it in the heroes of our police and fire departments. Ladies and gentlemen, could you please stand up so we can give you an adequate recognition from the fire and police department, please? Ladies and gentlemen, our police and fire department. These are individuals who put their lives on the line every day to make our communities just a little safer. Thank you. And we know that when Bronxites from all corners of the borough and from all walks of life come together to fight for what is right and what is just as one Bronx, we can do anything. In fact, in December, we proved that. we stood together and sent a strong message throughout the city of New York that we will no longer take a back seat when it came time to reap the rewards of our borough's economic development. And we defeated the proposed redevelopment of the Kingsbridge Armory. For too long, City Hall has embraced the mindset that what is good for developers is what is good for our 5 boroughs, with little regard for the real needs of the community. Planning, in my opinion, should drive development. Development should not determine our planning. Our land, our most important and valuable natural resource, has been taken from us through zoning and the sale of air rights. Development plans have been created with little or no input from the communities who will host these new projects. Developers have been handed millions of taxpayer dollars in subsidies, and in return, we have received part-time jobs without benefits that offer few, if any, chances for advancement. Now, listen to me carefully. For those of you who would distort my position by saying that I do not want to create jobs here in the Bronx, you are wrong. Nothing could be further from the truth. As I have said, the idea that any job is better than no job should no longer apply, specifically when developers take millions of dollars in taxpayer funding. Now, let me repeat that. The idea that any job is better than no job should no longer apply, specifically when developers take millions of dollars in taxpayer funding. When New Yorkers are already struggling to pay their rents, when they must worry about feeding and clothing their children, when our poverty rates are the highest in the nation, we cannot accept that a minimum wage is the best salary a developer can offer while they take so heavily from taxpayers' wallets. In other words, if you want charity, then you must be charitable. If you want a public benefit, then your project must benefit the public. Now, do not misunderstand me. I welcome development, and I'm ready, willing, and able to work with every and anyone that wants to do business within our borders. Please come. But we must raise the standard of that development. We must stand up and demand that major projects that receive heavy taxpayer benefits offer more than poverty-level jobs. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, that we do better. The fight at the Kingsbridge Armory wasn't about preventing development, nor was it about focusing on the parochial concerns of a small corner of the city. What we stood for at the Armory was the right of all city residents to earn an honest living when developers take large taxpayer subsidies to make their projects work. Our call has been heard throughout the city, and I will lead the fight for better wages, not just for Bronxites, but for all New Yorkers. That's why I am proud that 2 of my Bronx colleagues in government, City Council members Oliver Coppell and the Dean of the Bronx delegation, Anabel Palma, are they here today, Oliver? Annabelle? I'm proud that they have partnered with me to introduce a bill that will require builders who receive government funding for their projects to pay a living wage to the future employees of that development. In my conversations with leaders from across the city, I have found that this is a major priority, not just here in the Bronx, but in all 5 boroughs. This bill has already received significant support, and I am hopeful that it will become law during this coming year. I also don't want to see the Kingsbridge Armory remain empty. That is why today I am announcing the creation of a new task force, co-chaired by myself and Councilman Fernando Cabrera, that will examine the Armory and discuss ideas for its future use, such as manufacturing, recreation, and other innovative uses. This task force, whose members will be announced in the coming days, will help to shape a new RFP for this majestic building from the ground up. The community's voice will be heard. My administration has begun to lay out an aggressive agenda to create new jobs that offer Bronxites not just a chance to work, but a chance to provide. We are pushing for new jobs in the growing green economy, and we will make sure that Bronx residents are ready to take advantage of those opportunities. We are working together to make sure our schools are properly serving our students, and we are making every possible effort to ensure that our streets are safer. The Borough Presidency provides a crucial resource for all city residents to help them find work, to assist them in their housing crisis, to coordinate with neighborhoods to put forward a plan to make their communities a better place. Our community boards, my partners in government, are typically the first to know about new problems and issues affecting their neighborhoods. Community boards encourage civic participation and offer every New Yorker a voice in the decision-making process. The community boards are critical to the life of all of the 5 boroughs. Together, we represent the front line of democratic government for many, and we are typically more accessible than the massive bureaucracy at City Hall. That is why any effort to change that structure, in my opinion, would be foolish and would incur the wrath of all New Yorkers. In fact, the new Charter Revision Commission must hear the voices of the Bronx, and they must hold hearings right here in our borough. We have a great deal of work to do, and it will not be easy. But I have faith in the people of the Bronx. And we, as elected officials, must make sure that the people have faith in us, that we have respect and honor for the trust that they have in us and they have placed in us. I know that together as one Bronx, we have the knowledge, the skills, and the determination to tackle the issues that the Bronx faces head on. I know that as one Bronx, we have the will to stand up and fight for our neighborhoods to ensure that we no longer receive the short end of the stick when it comes to economic development, education, and critical funding for our communities and what they need to thrive. I know that as one Bronx, we can make our already wonderful borough even greater. The Bronx is home, ladies and gentlemen, our home. And only by working together can we realize the bright future of our borough. In 1931, the poet Ogden Nash published in the New Yorker perhaps the shortest and most unfortunate poem ever written. He wrote, "The Bronx, no thanks." In 1964, a professor at Bronx Community College, one of our own colleges, wrote to Nash to call him out on this, what I believe, idiotic mistake. Having seen the error of his ways, Nash replied, "I wrote those lines, the Bronx, no thanks. I shudder to confess them. Now I'm an older, wiser man. I cry, the Bronx, God bless them. We have come a long way, not only from the time of Jonas Bronx, but from the days of Fort Apache, and from the days when the Bronx was burning. There are wonderful things happening in our borough. And slowly but surely, we are changing the minds of those individuals who would only focus on the negative, just like Nash's mind was changed 46 years ago. Together as one Bronx, we will change even more minds and perhaps even turn a few heads. As we usher in a new era of success to our hometown. Let's get to work. God bless you. God bless the Bronx. God bless New York. And God bless America.
I thought his first speech was inspiring. He committed to the cause of economic development, to let Bronxites know that he is paying attention, he's aware, and he has ideals, which is more importantly, having a leader who has ideals to see into the future. And I am very happy with what I heard today, and I know he's looking to partner up to make sure that the Bronx continues to be and strives to be one Bronx, which is so desperately needed in these times.
I think the borough president was extremely articulate, very inspirational. He reminded us where we've been, what we've gone through, and more importantly, he's given us his vision. He shared his vision with us in terms of where it is that we're going to go. The Bronx has done really great stuff, but he understands, like everybody else here today, that we need to commit to moving forward, and that's what we're going to do together. And I'm excited about the prospects of the Bronx. I'm excited about bringing in the first hotel and just encouraging people to be much more proactive in terms of everything that we have been doing, up until now.
Well, I've been through about 14 or 15 of these things since I've been up here. I think he did very well at it. It was a well laid out speech, covered all the bases as far as I could see. Made a very strong pitch on the Kingsbridge Armory situation. He took a lot of pounding over that situation. I think he hit back. He's going to have to do a little bit of battle with the city for them to start moving to get a new request for proposal on the table. I think at this point the city's attitude is, well, we lost that battle and we're not going to pick it up again for a while. I think health issues in the borough, jobs. All of those issues are important. I think he wants to look at green manufacturing, and that may be a part of the Armory development plan. All remains to be seen. I think he did a good job in the speech. I think he's doing a good job as borough president. I wish him well.
Incredible, wonderful. I'm very proud. I'm blessed to be the father of such a human being. Young, energetic, intelligent, well-spoken, great future, and great vision for the Bronx. I think that what Fernando Ferrer did, what Adolfo Carrion did, he has a big shoes to fill up, but he has a good step to follow, and he's following them.